could go get my guitar, but I'd have to go around the green screen.
Behind the curtain.
Yeah.
We'd be a little out of sync, I think. Could you do it in such a way that, like, I anticipated your lag and you anticipated my lag, and we just somehow came across the stream as...
There's an app out there called Band Lab, something lab.
Yeah.
Band Lab, that's it. Bandlab.com.
Lab.
Make music online. It has like all the DSTs and plugins and stuff in the browser.
That's wild.
Yeah. And you're supposed to be able
Is
to
it
like
Collaborative editing? Or is it just
I haven't looked at it in quite a while, but here, I'll post it in the private chat. Yeah, I'm glad you reminded me of this. It'd be fun to try this out sometime.
That'd be dope.
Yeah.
Bust out the electric violin.
Features, real-time collab. Yep, it's there. Albums, release as many singles, EPs, and albums as you like. That's kind of cool, actually. The Band Labs. Wait, did it do the Twitter for me? Let us see.
Sean's testing IFTTT to get to. He's front loading his work, so he doesn't have to tweet every week.
Yeah, I mean we're live on Twitter anyway via Periscope, so it like posts that. But I don't see.
Is
Twitter.
anything actually live right now?
Yes.
Yeah, this is it. This is a new camera, Paul. I literally just got it working like 5 minutes ago.
Looks good.
I did get the go the Elgato route. Camlink 4K, which oddly enough does not seem to work actually in 4K. I haven't figured out why yet. If I put the output of the camera into 4K, it just doesn't work. But if I do plain old 1080p, it's fine, which is fine. Like, I don't care, but I don't know where it's falling down because I'm going directly into the back of my Mac, which I assume USB 3 is fast enough, but maybe not. I don't know. I can't figure out if it's USB is falling down or this cheap HDMI cable I bought is not being able to keep up with the bandwidth. No idea. All the holes look the same. So, how am I supposed to know what's actually supposed to work with what? Yeah, no, I mean, the camera has a setting for 4K. Like, that's the default. Luckily, they let you turn it down.
Oh, I see. It's a polling applet, so because I'm on the free plan too, so it's gonna it'll do it in an hour or something. I don't know.
Okay. The other fun thing, Paul, about this was that the X-T30 is a pretty compact camera, and the ports for USB-C power and micro HDMI are literally right next to each other, which leaves no room for them to both be plugged in at the same time. So my question to you, Paul, is how would you solve that problem? Because I did solve the problem, but how would Paul solve the problem?
Yeah, that's right, Paul.
Yeah, they're extremely close. All these songs use the same, like, 3 or 4 chords, Sean.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was my one thought. The way I actually solved this was taking sandpaper. Yeah, exactly. I just took sandpaper to the casing on the big fat HDMI cable and just shaved it right down. It's fine. Yeah. Fun times.
Boop, 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 boop,
Quiet
boop.
out there in Twitch land tonight.
It's been a long week for everybody.
Yeah, I know we always say that, but it doesn't make it any less true. Fast AF week. That's good. Busy kind of week. Nice.
That was going to drag on Monday, but now it's, yeah, exactly. And now I'm like, oh, crap. This is the end of the sprint, and they're cutting a release on Monday. It's like, deadline time, basically. Oh, it just ran, so the if just ran. Sweet. Your app's being submitted this week? Nice. Nice.
Your work app?
Yes, I think.
Cool. Yeah, that's always the thing. It's always the thing, especially if it's the
Supposedly.
first. Especially if it's the first one. Also, Booster. I saw the stuff you were doing with the particle physics. That was cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah. I got some new guitar picks.
Ooh.
Trying out. I always like these Tortec ones. Sup, Selden?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
These little-
I've seen him around.
The turtle.
Oh, is it? Oh, it's.
It's a green turtle or tortoise.
Oh, okay. I'm like, the pick is a hole in it, Sean.
Yeah.
That's good.
I always like the Tortex picks. They have a nice little snap to their sound.
I think I have
But I
some.
also
I think I have some of those.
got some of these Fender picks. The Star picks. I never really got into those. I don't know why.
Guitar pick collection in a tea tree oil toothpick. Let's see what I got. Pretty sure these orange ones are the turtle guy. Yeah. That's not
The oranges,
focus.
I have some of those. I like those. They're a little thin though for me.
0.6 millimeters. They are pretty plucky. Yeah.
These white ones are 0.88 millimeters. I also have some green ones that are thicker than this as well.
I've got an MTV one. I've got a lot of the orange ones.
I also
Wow.
used to like to play with those jazz
Here's-
picks that
here's
are
a one-
smaller.
Here's a 1.0. Really
Yeah.
thick.
I used to like to play with those jazz picks that are a little smaller, but
Oh, yeah.
I would cut my fingers sometimes playing
Oh.
with those.
Yeah, no good.
Same for me, Sultan 3-day weekend.
Memorial Day is next weekend here, though.
But I also have Monday off.
Still smells like tea tree oil after how many
But I
years?
took the day off on Monday. So I have two back-to-back 3-day weekends. Hey, my boss told me to take more time off, so that's what I did. It's not my fault. We're doing a kayaking trip with Jamie's co-workers.
Cool.
So Watson has a life vest. We'll see what happens.
He's gonna be voluntarily overboard in like
Try to
5
slap
minutes.
slap an 85-pound dog on the back of a kayak and see what happens.
Definitely in the back. I think you want that weight in the back, right?
Yeah. He likes water now though, so I don't think it'll be an issue.
I think that's exactly why it's going to be an issue, Sean.
We'll just drag him behind to float around. He's got his own life vest, so
He's got his own little water wings.
he can chill. He just needs one of those floating coolers.
So this is not like rapids we're talking about here.
No. Yeah, it should be fun. Have him tow the kayak. He's got web
Ooh.
feet, so I don't have
idea.
web fingers, so it's like surfing. Got a cup. Looking for used boards too, so maybe you'll be surfing again soon.
Ooh.
I'll have a nice like tan line in the middle of my neck. What's up, Thomas?
Good evening.
Senior full stack engineer, Thomas.
Wait, did you actually accept the... I'm sorry, I wasn't able to keep up today. Did you actually accept the... Not yet. Not yet. Pondering. He's
I'm
pondering.
just spreading rumors.
Okay. You heard nothing. I've been so bad at keeping up with the Discord this week.
Yeah, it's been
Fully stacked.
fully stacked engineer. Oh man, how's everyone doing? Just trying to crack my own back. The weather's been super nice here, so I've been working outside a lot on my table and with my solar panel.
We did our sprint retro today, and one of the feedbacks from one of the people on our team was like, I thought my MacBook battery lasted a long time, but I only get about 3 hours because he's running like, Elixir LS and Dialyzer and all that shit, right?
Yeah. It's a lot of stuff.
Choose through your battery, and so I sent him a private message like, "Hey, you should get a solar panel on a battery." He's like, "That's a good idea."
I got some links.
He's in Hawaii, so he's got plenty of sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thomas, we're actually hanging out. We have a friend coming down this weekend who we haven't seen in forever. It's gonna be awesome. Maxination. We saw people last weekend. Board games and hangouts. Yeah, it is amazing. So novel and amazing. Don't take it for granted. Connecticut, I think we saw like 80%. I think it was 75 or 80% of Connecticut adults are vaccinated, which is like apparently the top in the country right now. So that's pretty sweet.
Jeez.
I mean, we're a small state, so, maybe that helps, but...
Only in size, not in stature.
That's right. You want health insurance? You want any insurance, you got to come through us.
Yeah, I just updated mine, open enrollment and all that.
Is it still open?
Today was the last day for me.
Oh, yeah.
Vaccinated maybe sometime next year.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
MetaLab gives us well, I guess I don't really have a ton of experience, but I'm pretty happy with the insurance. We actually just swapped Jamie onto mine as well. I haven't looked around though, Paul. I don't really know. But I mean, to be fair, the insurance I had before was like, just don't let them die. But that's about it.
That's
Catastrophic.
too bad, Paul.
Yeah, the only insurance I've ever really had was whatever I had at Octopus. I don't remember what it was, uh, and the freelancing stuff that I've had, which is buy your own kind of thing.
We're currently on Cobra through Jess's old job's insurance, which is good for like over a year, which is awesome because our state plans came up at the beginning of the year, and I looked, and they were literally all worse and more expensive than just paying out of pocket, like for the regular plans. Like the comparable plans were considerably worse, and to get anything, it was just way more money. It was just like, what? This is supposed to be the public option, and it's just dog shit. Dog shit. So, yeah. Sucks.
Well,
Yeah, we should do a thing.
boop, 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 boop.
Oh, man. All right.
Well, you're clapping today.
All right. The algorithm has deemed it. Cool. Ready? Ready.
Yeah.
Don't sound too excited. You get your back cracked?
Nope.
Sorry.
But my posture is. This chair is real nice. It forces me to sit straight up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm recording now.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Ready? Oh, and by the way, people in chat, this is trying to do camera setup here. Let me know if there's too much lag between my voice and the flapping of the gums. I think it's fine, but I can also try to add a delay if it's really bad. 0 lag. Okay, I'm not going to touch it. Don't jinx it. Thank you, Paul.
Very closely. For my own purposes.
How's this?
Hey, Thomas, only the Lord does that, Thomas. All the way. You gotta clap.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
A 1, 2, 3.
You count Watson's hair follicles. They're all over.
Never ending. The I should 3D print a DNC like clapboard.
That'd be cool. Then you're always clapping unless you mail me one.
You know I will. The trick would be doing dual filament so you could get like a color like I don't have white, but I have some kind of like light silver and a black. It might work.
I'm sure there's a blueprint already available.
Oh, good call. I've never I should look into that. I haven't tried to design any moving parts yet, like hinges and stuff. It's kind of a whole thing. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Paul, filament swap, which I also have not done yet, but and also they have, the white stripes would be raised, and then also probably the logo too would be raised. And then I could use that new ironing feature. Have you seen that in the Prusa slicer? Yeah, the ironing thing is so cool. So what it does is it prints like the final layer for things that are flat with like pieces of text or whatever. What it'll do is it'll print the final layer, and then it'll heat up. I think from what I understand is it heats up the tip, and then it slowly pushes up against like the layer it just did, and it kind of smooths it all out.
I found the article. It shows a picture of it.
It's very cool, the before and after. Gross.
That's pretty neat. Boop, boop, boop. See you, Thomas.
Bring back some nachos for us. We'll be waiting. Well.
Another week. Another JS ecosystem build tool switches to Rust or Go.
What is it this time? Who's the casualty?
Parcel 2.
Is that
Parcel
the old
V2.
thing or the new thing?
New thing. Well, Parcel is the bundler. And now I need to open Slack to find the link.
PARCEL, like a package?
Yeah, Parcel.
Parcel.
Mm-hmm. It's been around for a while. By a while, I mean years. Let me... Okay, Slack is now open.
It's like an eon in JavaScript time.
For centuries. All right, here's the link. Yeah,
For
yeah.
10,000 years!
Yeah,
Babel has reigned supreme!
So, yeah, Parcel is now using Rust under the hood as the builder.
What is Parcel written in? Rust.
Rust. Well, I mean, so now you got ESBuild, which is Go, Vite, which is a lot of things are actually built on top of ESBuild. There's another, there's a bunch now, but yeah, it seems like a lot of JS tooling is going Rust or Go under the hood for performance reasons.
It's wild, man.
Performance and efficiency. Well, I mean, we were talking before we started recording, right? About the weather's been nicer here, so I've been outside more. I just have like a fold-up table and an umbrella and a solar panel, and it's been awesome. I'm actually way more productive out there for some reason.
It's the most California thing I've ever heard.
But I try to, like, if I'm not working on the project, if I'm doing other things, I turn everything off, like the note servers, and close the editor so that way the TS, what do you call them? The TS,
See?
No. The language services and stuff all turned down and everything. So save that battery.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were talking about someone earlier that was like, well, my battery does not last as long as I thought it would.
Oh yeah, someone on our team at Docker was complaining. He's like, I thought this MacBook battery was supposed to last a long time. And it's actually funny because he's not a Mac guy, and so I've actually been helping him with some of the Mac development setup things. I don't remember originally what he said. I assume he was a Linux guy, but he's like never done development on a Mac before, which kind of just blew my mind a little bit. Maybe we're just so stuck in our own little, circle jerk ecosystem of web developers of MacBooks, but
well, I think
that was surprising to me.
In the grand scheme of things, I think Windows probably has the biggest developer user base, like overall, like planet-wide, right?
Yeah. It's got to be.
Yeah.
But for an Elixir web developer, like a experienced Elixir developer.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. I like the idea of these toolings going to
tools. The word is tools.
These tools going to different, using lower level languages that are more performant, more resource efficient. So I don't know. I don't have anything against it. It doesn't make me worried about Node going away or anything. Of course, it won't go away. But I think that it's nice. Like using Webpack from day to day on my project and then going to other projects that I have. Granted, they're not as big as Webpack, but like using Vite or something different, it's just night and day experience.
Yeah. JavaScript's, if it wasn't already carte blanche, it definitely is now, where it's like it's becoming the English language of programming. Like everyone seems like you kind of have to know it, whether you're good at it or not. I mean, very generalizing, very general strokes here, because lots of people don't touch it ever and don't have to. But if you're anywhere near the web, obviously, it's, and with the proliferation of the tooling that is not JavaScript, it just makes it, to me, it makes it seem more and more abstract. Like it it stops becoming the JavaScript ecosystem and starts becoming like things that can transform JavaScript ecosystem, none of which are written in JavaScript. And then JavaScript itself is just this weird intermediary string-based output that's, not a binary. You're taking this string, you're shipping it across the web, you're crapifying it, shipping across the web, and the browser's taking that crappy JavaScript and then doing JIT compilation and trying to turn it back into binaries as much as possible.
Crappy JavaScript.
Crapified, not crappy.
Yeah.
Did I say crappy? All right.
You said both. You said both.
Yeah.
You said both.
I meant both.
Yeah, you're not throwing stones out here. I guess at the end of the day, whatever just makes me or helps me build a better app for the people and helps keep my fans off and me outside more, I'm just gonna be a fan of.
See what you did there.
That was unintentional. But yeah, I'm trying to make an effort to, in the developer channel at MetaLab, make an effort to share more things in there, because people always tell me to share more stuff in there, so I just drop links and run away. Yeah.
You do that in our Discord too.
That's right.
Shout out the Discord. Put a link in the show notes.
Yeah, drop links and run away. But yeah, so I've been feeling a lot better. The past couple of weeks, I've been back on hacking on my side projects a couple of nights a week and a little bit on a Saturday as well. So I'm feeling pretty good. I'm still enjoying my time with Remix so far. We talked about that last week. Still enjoying it. Still learning a couple of things here and there about the web platform, but I still am pretty happy, or I enjoy the approach they're taking. So you know what? Actually, this week was the first time since maybe even joining MetaLab where I was doing work, like programming and working through stuff, and I really felt like, yeah, no, I know exactly what I'm doing, and I'm like being really productive here. Which is something that I've been wanting to feel. I hadn't really felt that since Side Door started, because that was Laravel, so it was like constant uphill battle there to stay ahead of, keep my learning ahead of the tech we're building. But yeah, this week was the first time where I was like, I'm being really productive here, and I know exactly what I'm doing.
That's cool, and that's got to be a combination of you learning the tech, but also, I imagine the project becoming more mature and less scattered, right? Like you're starting to actually get it whipped into. You're getting whipped into shape, like, right? You kind of know your way around, and
well,
try to put a positive spin on this, man.
Yeah. So I guess that is part of it. Yes, like obviously, knowing the projects and all that, and we've talked about spending the time to rehab stuff, right? So like going from a purely MVP, get this out the door mindset to we're the steward of this thing. So, moving from a 100% product focused work to 70-30% product to housekeeping initiatives. I said initiatives. That's right. The terminology is like creeping into my.
That's a C-level word, Sean.
That's right. It's been helping, and I think like in doing that, like the devs I'm working with have been growing a ton, and that's been amazing. And then we switched from me doing all the planning to we're kind of sharing the load, and I'm teaching them how to do the planning and architectural planning and like tech writing and rationale, like writing up like why we're making this decision and all that stuff. So they're killing it, and so that allows me to actually get back to the tech more. So I think it's been a culmination of all of those things happening that makes it feel more like makes it feel like we're all kind of producing on the same level, and it's less of a siloed effort from me, I guess.
Yeah, and I know when you first started here, you were not doing a lot of coding at all, and it's nice to know that you didn't forget how to do that in all that time, right? You were busy slap chopping up the work and dealing with PRs and doing everything else, but and just kind of pinch hitting for coding when you could. I just used like 7 different metaphors there, but so it's good that you can actually you've gotten to that point where you can, I don't know, be an engineer again.
Yeah, and a lot of like what I'm working on now actually is kind of like foundational tooling configuration, stuff that affects the entire stack that bubbles up, right? That's kind of like naturally where I gravitated to, because there are lots of things that need to be doing there, and that's so that I end up doing most of the engineering effort stuff there. Well, housekeeping engine like stuff there.
Yeah, it's oh god, how much I wish we had someone in that position with that project that I'm working on, because we're 4 weeks in, and I can already start to see like there needs to be someone who's a sweeper, someone who is like the arbiter of, you know, style and can go in and clean things up without, you know, having to work on any individual thing, and can just kind of swoop in and do that. And we're not set up to work that way. We already have a big team, and like it's not getting any bigger, but I definitely see the value in that. And we're early on in our project, but I don't know, I could see it getting out of hand pretty quickly.
It can snowball pretty quickly. I think that's kind of why it was so hard to get the ball rolling when I first showed up. Not that they weren't paying attention to it, but that wasn't the mode they were in. It hadn't been shipped yet, so the mode was, you know, get in what we need to ship this thing to satisfy the contract. And then from there, you know, they inherited the code base, so it was like started based on some designs, and then stopped, and then handed off when designs were finished. And so it was kind of like all right, we didn't start this, it doesn't match the finished design, so you're kind of like already starting a square behind, you know, in that case. But yeah, it's been really nice to do that. So I mean, talking a little bit more about like I guess I got some feedback, like hearing about like feedback on the show about people liking to hear more about some of the minute details of like working with TypeScript and converting a JS code base to TypeScript, and like why and all that stuff. And I think that like working on the UI kit has already been proving, that is like migrating it to TypeScript has already proven beneficial. as it stands right now, we can't totally reap all the benefits in the applications that are using the UI kit because the apps, there were no type definitions shipped for the UI kit because it was JavaScript and the apps were started as TypeScript. And so there was basically an empty module declaration created for this. So that way the TypeScript apps were like, we don't know what this is, right? So instead of, having the UI kit type itself, you create just a mod. You can type it in the TypeScript, like in your other apps. You can like say, I know what this thing is, and type it, right? So sometimes you have to do that, but it was just typed and left empty, just so that the compiler wouldn't complain. That's fair enough, right? Get the ball rolling.
Is that really any better than the any type?
No, because nothing is typed at that point. So
right.
Yeah. It's just like using a plain old JavaScript library in TS. Then it'll try to infer what it can, but it's not going to be amazing. Occasionally what I do is I have a branch where so basically that's blocking any like real like, oh, there's issues between these layers. So technically things can be working, but since it's like incompletely typed, right? Or since like, here's an example where something might be inferred. So you might have a component and one of the props it takes is like class name. Like what if you want to pass classes into the child? So in the child, you might just say, oh, this takes class name. It's one of the props, but you don't assign a default to it. So it'll be either a string or undefined. And so in JS, you can say class names, ? String, otherwise do nothing really. So TypeScript, when you run the TS compiler on a JS code base and it sees that, it's going to assume that class names prop is required. So then all of your usages in your other app will start throwing, TypeScript error saying, hey, class names is required here, but you're not supplying it, even though it's like an optional. So there are ways around this in JavaScript land, right? So you can use React prop types to specify what the prop types are. And then that'll like send you a warning like, hey, you didn't supply a default value here. You didn't say it was required or whatever. The other way is just to convert the component to TypeScript. And, that way you know what the typings are. Or I guess set a default value of like an empty string or something, so that way. So there's basically a lot of situations where it technically works correctly, but the typings are being inferred differently than you want. and that throws a bunch of errors. And so if you have CI that won't, pass a build if there are any errors, sometimes you just have to disable it. You have to put that empty module back. So it's kind of like kicking the can down the road, but that's the only way. Otherwise, the only way you can do this is one giant refactor, which isn't something we can do. So
yeah, it's not feasible almost ever.
Right. So it's kind of like an incremental process. It's like, one option is to go through and add prop typings to everything and add more linters to it. The other option is just to slowly convert to TypeScript, which is what we're doing.
How do you decide what you're doing the conversions on? Is it just as PRs come in and they files get touched, you just take that opportunity to do it, or are you actively just doing a little bit at a time, sort of out of band?
Out of band. We have so we do some of that, but we don't want to clutter up too much like the MRs that are already happening, and we don't want to like spread out the subjects on those. So especially since there's a lot of design churn and stuff, it's sometimes nice to go back and look at MRs to see, oh, actually, no, the design file did change because it used to be this. So yeah, a lot of it's out of band. We have a specific epic in Jira for housekeeping efforts. And so we just go through, we kind of all take turns looking around and go through and add a ticket. And so whenever we need to fill up a sprint or whatever, we finish early, because I've been pretty conservative about, how much work we can do. We just pull those tickets in. And so it kind of happens slowly on the side.
That's cool. I remember when I joined my team at Agilent, our code base was about, I don't know, maybe 50-50, maybe 60-40 C# and C++. And so it was a similar sort of thing where it's like we needed to move everything to C# for obvious reasons, right? But it all still compiled and ran in the same, solution in Visual Studio. Everything was fine. But it was someone's job to just, when they had time, just convert classes over one at a time. There was even a utility to do it that would like take the C++ class file and blast out some C#, but you still had to manually go through and check it, right, and make sure that it was all right. And that was one of those things that it took probably a year since I was there before it finally got done. It was really nice when they were finally able to get rid of all that. But yeah, you just gotta find time to do that stuff when you can.
Yeah, and I mean, when I do go into my branch and take out the empty declaration, it's night and day difference. Moving around and kind of testing the components out that I've been updating and stuff. Yeah, it's a night and day difference. It's such a better experience. So
it's like you described the other last week when you had the two tabs open, like the two columns, and you instantly fixed the type and you instantly fixed the type and then it just started syntax highlighting in the right column, right?
Oh yeah, it was even kind of like an extension of that was yesterday. So I had two WebStorm windows open. The left was UIKit, right was app, and they're linked via npm link, right? So it's just a symlink locally is how that works.
Okay.
I don't know if have you used npm link before?
Nope.
So if you're working on an npm package and you want to develop it locally or like test it locally, npm link. So you run npm link in your package directory, and then you go into your app that's using it, and you run npm link package name, and it creates a symlink between the two.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So I had them side by side on my ultra wide, right? So I'm sitting here, and I'm converting stuff to TypeScript, and I would have a file open that had TS errors in it, and I would like convert the JSX to TSX and do the thing, fix the typings, add the interfaces and stuff, and then over here the things would just disappear whenever the language service would update itself, and so things would just disappear. And so when those things just stopped disappearing, I would run npm lint, and then I would grep for a certain component or like a file name to see if that specific file was giving any errors. And when it was empty, I was like, all right, let's commit it.
Ship it.
Yeah. And then of course, like the tests have to pass on the UIKit side. But yeah, it was cool, just side by side watching the errors just disappear.
It's cool, man. Whack-a-mole.
Whack-a-mole, that's right. So yeah, that's kind of how it's working. So it's going really great. Like I said, the experience is night and day difference. Hopefully we can finish that soon because it'll just make us faster.
Gotta go fast, Sean.
Yeah, make us more efficient.
I'm really happy that's all starting to pay off for you, or feel like it's paying off.
Yeah, I mean, the client is like all on board with it. But we'll see, like, because they're not really using it a ton, and we're not going to be building this forever. So, like I had conversations with them where we were talking about priorities, and luckily most of them have engineering backgrounds, and so they're, they at least understand the idea of like housekeeping is important, cleaning up after ourselves is important. And talking to them about like the UI kit, like, oh, you're using this on every new property. Like, there's 3, there will be 5. So, it makes sense to do that now. Either we spend a lot of time going through and cleaning up the JavaScript and adding JS doc and prop types and all the other things, right? So, you can have a pretty good time in JavaScript. You just have to make sure you're kind of doing your chores there and adding the right utilities and adding the right linters, right?
We're still in the process of setting up our QA environments on GitHub for our Dockyard project, and it's been a hell of a time trying to get those things to freaking build and run in QA. Fine, whatever. But today they just like stopped working. Like, we got it working for a day and then it just stopped working. And it's like some obscure length is undefined error deep within the bowels of a JavaScript library.
Ugh.
You're like, what the hell is going on here? It
Yeah.
it exhibited the same behavior on CI as it did locally, so like at least it was reproducible. And I made an offhand comment. I think this smells like a config issue. Like, something's being passed in or something's missing in a config file somewhere that's being passed in. And sure enough, package.json was missing a name and description field.
Oh my god.
It's
It's probably
name, add description, and the thing stops blowing up.
It's probably building some sort of report somewhere, right?
I don't know. It was the NVM lifecycle package. Who knows,
Really?
man? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't know anything about it. That's wild.
Length is undefined. Did you know? Length is
Yeah,
undefined. Sean.
I think like
Oh my
like,
god. Sorry. Shy Ryan reminded me this. He says, Shy Ryan in the chat said, I did NPM install on a project I haven't touched in approximately 2 weeks. Sorry.
let me do
God
it.
Damn it. Stop it. 75 security vulnerabilities in 2 weeks. Yeah, we kind of had one of those moments also on our project where someone made an offhand comment, hey, this has like 300, high priority security vulnerabilities. And Chris McCord is like, this is normal for JavaScript. Just, it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, we had one a couple weeks ago where we had to. It was failing CI because we have an audit run or npm run audit, or npm audit is the thing. I don't know. I think it's npm audit. Anyway, It runs in CI, and so it'll fail if there are any high critical vulnerabilities. And so we had to fork a repo, fix it, and then point our package to our fork.
Yeah, danger. That sucks.
Because it was a dependency of a dependency. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's the tools that I have, Rockwell. I didn't pick them, but I'm using them because I don't have a choice.
Your tools are I don't know.
Well, I think that was one of the why it was such a big deal when next one of their updates announced that like, hey, there are 0 like warnings and vulnerabilities in our builds now. They, whatever they did,
That statement was valid for all 5 minutes, right?
I would trust Next. I mean, it's not like, I think like some of the people that are building these bigger tools like Next they're writing a lot of it. They're not necessarily just package, so.
Yeah.
And same for Remix, like they're writing a lot of the stuff that they're using, like, they're using React and they're using whatever React uses on top of that, and they're using Express, but aside from that, a lot of it's pretty custom.
I mean, even in like, it's not just a JavaScript thing, we needed to consume a third-party API for in Elixir, and the only library out there was a 0.4 that was last touched 5 years ago, and we had to fork it and tweak it just to get it working, right? And that's a non-starter for a product that you're going to deliver to a client. Like, you can't do that. So we ended up essentially re-implementing it, but you know it's going to be rock solid and stable, and they can go in there and tweak it if they need to, and it's not dependent on some potentially broken unmaintained thing. So
Yeah,
that was worth it for us.
yeah. I had this conversation with the devs that I work with because they had never really been in that situation before, and I was, we were talking about like, okay, what do we actually do here? Do we re-implement this thing? Like, what do we do? And I was like, well, that's certainly an option. And in the current like sprint that we're on, the work that we have, we just don't have time to do that. So the thinking is like, okay, what's the vulnerability? Is it secure? Is it severe enough to warrant us stopping what we're doing and re-implementing this thing? Or like, copying, pasting, and fixing. I don't know, however you want to approach it, right? And so we came away with, let's fork it, fix it for now. And if it's not fixed within X number of weeks, then we pull it in. And essentially by pulling it in, you're assuming the responsibility for that code now. So if it's a small dependency, that's probably fine, but it's a big one. Yikes.
Oops. Oh man. I'm bad at internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about walking that line between, is it worth it to pull in the dependency versus just doing it yourself? And I actually have a very relevant topic that I want to get into later about that for infrastructure stuff. But yeah, it all just depends on how much time you have and what you prioritize, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a conversation of trade-offs, right? That's all development is. is managing trade-offs.
That's all engineering is.
Right.
If we could do everything perfectly and meet all the specs the first time and had infinite money, you wouldn't need engineers.
Oh my! Shy Ryan says that he forked a fork of gRPC Elixir so he could use it in production. I'm familiar with doing something like that.
That was almost a legit spit take.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. My side projects aren't huge, but I've been really happy with Remix and just the amount of things I don't have to learn. The amount of abstractions I don't have to learn, like custom abstractions, that has been really nice. So I often now I'm looking at the app that I'm building and I'm looking at like query string parsing. I'm like, do I need QoS? The browser is just built in. What's the browser support like? Can we just remove this and just use URL query parser, I think it's called. Mm-hmm. It's part of the URL object or class.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that's part of the thing, too. JavaScript has gotten way better than it used to be. There's a lot of stuff in the standard API that gets you really, really far that a lot of packages filled in, functionality that didn't exist before.
Yeah, I mean, Paul brings up a good point, too. He says that he thinks that clients find proper maintenance difficult to swallow at agency prices. 100% true. It's very, very, very true.
Meaning that you just don't want to pay for it, right?
Meaning it's probably more expensive than hiring someone in-house to do it.
I see. Okay.
Right, because when you're hiring,
it's like I don't need to hire a plumber. I can just wrap this pipe with some duct tape.
Well, it's more like I don't need to hire a company full of plumbers because they have extra overhead. I can just go directly to a single plumber. And
I see.
Probably get a better deal, right?
Yep.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, same goes for maintenance. Same goes for testing, writing tests. Same goes for a bunch of stuff. The client that I have right now, we're lucky because again, they all have engineering backgrounds, so they get it, and they're funded pretty well, so it seems to work out in our favor. But that's another hard line to balance. Is like, yeah, maintenance during the life cycle of a product that you're supposed to ship, and then negotiating timelines. Like, oh, the timeline's bigger because something doesn't work, or you know what I mean. So it's different experience, but it's again, like my project I've been on for 8 months, and I guess it's one of the longer projects there. And so people are asking me like, how are you navigating it? How are you dealing with all this stuff? And I was like, well, the last app I worked on for 4 years. So, it doesn't bother me 8 months, but also like the idea of like we've talked about this, approaching it differently, like having a ratio of new work, product work to engineering work and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good that the conversation is coming up more. People seem interested in that idea.
Yeah, as long as they keep being open to it, and it keeps, adding obvious value or
Yeah, for sure. But things are going well over there. It sounds like well enough. It sounds like you're running into typical project stuff. Like things are growing very quickly.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So we just finished Sprint 2, Sean, 4 weeks in this project. It's flown by, right, as it does. We just did our Sprint Retro, and I just, that it's a little time for self-reflection to think about, what the hell just went on the past 2 weeks, right? And obviously we got some work done. We're actually able to be pretty productive. By we, I mean, well, our whole team, but also myself and my partner who are working together in this lane. We're basically a paired program on everything at this point still. And,
Talking about swim lanes?
Swim lanes? I don't know.
You dropping terms on me?
I don't know if we would fit in the swim lane. He'd probably be out and back before I even got halfway there, so. But I don't know, we call them lanes. We got 4 lanes of 2 people, and we're all working in parallel. And then, yeah. What's that face? You made a face.
It's just Agile Rockwell.
I know. I don't even know. I don't even recognize myself anymore. So there's things are going full steam. We're still in the very early stage of this project. There's still a lot that's changing, which is terrifying. And so there's still a lot of discussion around the process. What PR should look like, what they should contain, how big they should be, who should be reviewing them, what kind of feedback is valuable versus not. I feel like these are all discussions that maybe should have been had 2 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, but it's okay. We're all learning here, like it's still really early, so there's lots of time to adjust and fix some of these problems. But my biggest takeaway from this week was around basically scope, right? You've got a bunch of stuff that you need to do. How much do you really need to do? I personally like designing systems. I like designing flexible, reusable, layered, decoupled, beautiful objects that are components that you can reuse, whether it's functional or classes or whatever the paradigm is. Like, give me something and I will give you this beautiful system that you can plug and play and add and extend for, until the heat death of the universe, right? That's what I want to do. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's a limit to that, but my lesson from this week was that you actually don't want to do that. At least not in this context. You're given a task. You want to write the least amount of code to get that thing done. Which sounds so pessimistic and sort of naive, or not naive, but just... And the reasons for that, I think, are twofold. Is number one, obviously just complexity, maintenance. Like, there's a lot of work still to go. You don't want to have to build out all this bloat and have someone review it and try to justify it when you're literally building things that have no proven need yet. Even though I think they're going to be needed, no one else seems to think that. And that's okay. So I should just not build things that way. Right.
Yeah, you ain't gonna need it.
Yeah, I mean that's literally what people said. They use the Agni thing. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm pretty sure you will, and I'm gonna remember that you told me that and reference this comment later. No, I'm not gonna do that. But
pin to channel.
Yeah. The other thing though is that, also if things are changing, it actually is bad for you to design things to be too flexible because you're going to spend extra work, time, engineering effort, testing, covering all the edge cases. And if something changes in the requirements, suddenly all that work is just garbage. because you just based all that work off of a bunch of assumptions that don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And we got nailed by that pretty hard. We had to rip a bunch of stuff out of our PR because we designed it to be, we designed this whole big thing and it was too big. It was too much. And so we actually wasted time developing it and then wasted time ripping it out and getting it, peer reviewed again. That was not good. I don't know.
Yeah. So like Paul was saying, the problem is that the requirements are not constants most of the time. Yeah. I've definitely run into this too with the project I'm on. I keep trying to say their name, but I don't think I'm supposed to. It's
No.
like it's very close. It's same thing.
It's
yeah.
funny because I think if you said it, people wouldn't recognize it because
They
of
probably wouldn't.
the name because
Yeah.
of it sounds like you're not saying the name. Sorry, that was really confusing.
Drum emoji. Dropping hints out there. Someone's gonna figure it out. Yeah, same thing. Like the requirements are not constants, especially I think like in like thinking about DK and thinking about side door and thinking about client name, where those requirements are changing and they change often. And sometimes they change depending on who you talk to and depending on the level of the person that shows up to a meeting, right? so yeah, sometimes it's sometimes it's better to do like the least amount of work to do the right thing first and have that go out the door and then add on later. But I have the same tendency, like looking at this, I'm like, yeah, I've built this app before. We're going to need A, B, and C, and D, and we might need 3 out of 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the game. That's how the sausage is made, I guess.
Yeah, don't even build the fourth thing at that point, right?
Right.
Yeah, and the other thing I was surprised at was, and this is just part of me adjusting to the speed at which things move when you've got a lot of people, is that once I started to see how long it takes to, I mean, listen, trying to get people to review a PR is like pulling teeth, right? No one wants to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want other people to have to do it, but it has to get done.
I won't do it.
The side effect of that is that they just take a long time because everyone's busy. It's not just that people don't want to do it. It's really just that people are busy and it's hard to prioritize that, and that's fine. And if your PR is too big, well, so my initial thought was, okay, there's this lag between I submit a PR and I ask people to review it, and then they have to schedule time at some point in the future to get back to me. And my thought was, okay, let's make the PR reasonably sized and pretty chunky so that way we only have to do this back and forth feedback loop fewer times, right? And that was the wrong way to think. I was thinking if we could save time in this loop by, limiting the number of times we have to, play tag and go back and forth. But really, that's the opposite of what you want, If your PR is small and tight and is scoped to exactly one thing, then people are more likely to review it quickly. They're more likely to just pass it. It's a lot easier to grok and just like sit down and look at, and it's a lot easier to push things through without just, I don't know, fighting out of things that are not really in context for what you're trying to get done. And so things all sound probably really obvious to you. Like I can see you're smirking.
No,
like,
it's great.
This is so obvious, but like I just don't know, man. I'm learning a lot.
No, it's really good. I think there's other things too, like smaller PRs. Sometimes, like if you have to go and revert them or bisect them, or do some things like that, cherry picking even. Say things go sideways and you got to go and pull some of that stuff out. It's easier to do that with small, more focused commits, and it's easier to find those focused commits if you have, if they're smaller, you just more, atomic in nature, I suppose. Because we've had situations like, client was like, we're not doing this feature. We're like, okay, cool. Well, we're going to take out some of the code that we already have for it. Never mind. Client wants this feature weeks later. Okay, now we got to go back and find it. You know what I mean? And if the changes were like lumped in too big, it'd be a lot harder to pull that stuff out or sort through it. So, yeah.
Yep.
No, it's just good reminders. Like, so actually yesterday, I was like, do I rip this Band-Aid off and do I just like do a bunch of this refactoring so that way we don't have to keep like commenting and uncommenting out the stupid module declaration? And I started doing it, and then I got like 40 change files in, and I was like, no, I'm not doing this, and I stopped. So maybe a little bit of, not a waste of time, because I can go back and pull those commits out into different branches and do them one at a time should I need to, or that's what I probably will do. But yeah, I had to really resist that urge to just like, all right, let me blast through this, it'll be done. And what really convinced me not to do that was thinking about, okay, Paige and Jared are busy. We've got a lot of QA on the table. We have some sprint planning stuff we got to do tomorrow on the table. And, Fridays are half days for us. And so I want to make sure we can close out the sprint. As if I drop this on them now, there's no way they're going to be able to review it all like properly,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that I was on the receiving end of this. I had to review some PRs that were gigantic in addition to submitting them. And I felt fatigue, I felt like I wasn't giving good feedback, because by the time you get to, file 25 of 35, you're like, right? And it's just, you're not focused at that point anymore, but you still got to just blast through it. So
yeah.
Block someone.
I went to the MR and was like looking at the changes and stuff, because I always do like work in progress MRs. So I commit often, and I just like make a MR branch, or a whip MR, not an MR branch, I guess. Again, GitLab. And so, yeah, I always have it up there. And then like when the UI starts slowing down because of all the syntax highlighting it has to do, you're in for a bad time. Oh, package lock changed. Don't even try to untoggle that that preview.
Nope.
Oh, someone is on npm 3 and everyone else is, or npm 6 and everyone else is on npm 7. It's going to reformat the entire file when it's committed.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even try to open that.
That's that's like 1 Bitcoin worth of CPU power right there.
Yeah, it just slams my laptop. Yeah, see, Paul said they had that issue last week. Someone's on a different. They changed the shrink wrap version or whatever, so the formatting of the entire package lock file is different.
Yeah, there was a mix, and Hex is a similar thing where the lock files are slightly different. It's annoying as hell. Ow! All right, he needs to go. Jess, call him.
Revenge of Bucky. It's tough love.
Go.
Yeah, exactly, Shy Ryan.
Sorry.
Only one with Elixir experience, so he has to review PRs. Everyone else's, and so when he's really busy, he's like more likely to do looks good to me. I've 100% looks good to me. It's shipped out. The next Monday, a bug report comes in, and I'm like, oh crap. I know exactly what caused that.
Yeah, I'm also still learning about what I think is what people find valuable in feedback. I think I'm trying to strike the balance between nitpicky and I don't know, stylistic things versus like, hey, this is bad, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Now, I have yet to find anything that's a blocker. Like, I look at stuff, I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It's not how I would do it. Consider doing it this way, but no blockers, approved.
That sounds nice.
I don't. Is that? Is
I'm
it
like
too wishy-washy? It's like nothing's I feel like if I'm just too soft about it, no one's ever going to change anything, and then it's just, why did I even bother writing the feedback?
I mean, that's true. In my situation, it's like this checkbox is 18 pixels. It needs to be 16 pixels, and I know the designer will zoom. They'll zoom way in, and they'll be like, checkbox is all wrong, and it'll come back. So we have this thing we do on our. It's not that bad, but we have this thing where we just have nits, and so yeah, exactly like Paul.
Nits.
Hold on, exactly like Paul is.
Nit is becoming a pet peeve word.
Hold on. So Paul is saying like we do this thing where here's the thing you might want to consider, but approving or like pre-approving in advance of change X. So we do that as well, and so what we do is anything that's not a nit. It's technically this could go out the door like this. And so we'll like, I'll go in and I'll leave some nits and then I'll approve it. And depending on how much time we have, depending on the workload, depending on, how sure we are that the client's going to pull the rug out tomorrow, they'll go through and adjust nits as needed. Some of those, they can spill out into housekeeping tasks in Jira if they want, right? So the housekeeping epic, anyone can add a task to it. So it's kind of like up to the discretion of the person. How much time do I have? How much work do I have left, etc.
How nitpicky are your knits?
They are not
What's the most nitpicky knit you've ever knitted?
So a lot of them are just like things that I know will be called out in QA by a designer, and a lot of them are, like, they feel pretty nitpicky. Like, grand scheme, it doesn't really matter, but a lot of things are, especially around like layout and spacing between elements and things like that, or things that I know can be derived from like a UI kit value. I'll do stuff like that.
Okay, but they're actual physical things you can see. Like you're just saving someone some trouble that you know is going to come down the line.
Yep.
You're not picking it because two things didn't happen to be sorted alphabetically for no reason.
No, nothing like that. If there's something like I think things like that, like formatting, styling, sorting, that those nits should be automated. That should be enforced by the computer.
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion around those sort of things. Obviously, we have mixed format on our side, so formatting is a non-discussion, right? But there are lots of, and we use Credo, which covers a lot of cases for the ordering of things and the way things are laid out, but it doesn't cover all of them that people want, and we've been looking into automating them because it's just the BS comments are just getting annoying. If I'm being fully honest.
I think that's a great catalyst into automating something like that.
Maybe people just need to freaking lighten up.
Yeah. So we don't have too many like nits like that. It's more so like, okay, I know this will come back. Like this is a stylistic thing, or it's not super pressing for this release. So it seems to work out pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like an ESLint rule for anything you could ever imagine, which is kind of nice too. So
it's really funny to see Chris McCord get snarky about stylistic code in chat. Like, it's just so funny to see him just kind of go off.
Yeah, I do sometimes about like comments or like grammar in comments or using informal words like comma, like filler words and things like that in comments or documentation. I'll be pretty nitpicky about stuff like that, which I'm sure is annoying, but
it's fine having the conventions, but the problem comes up when the convention is non-conventional or is contentious.
Yeah. What would you pay to see a Shy Ryan? Oh, I see. Yeah. Everyone just gets a notebook out. Is he being serious? Oh. Yeah. But it seems to work out. It seems to work out pretty well over here. We haven't had any issues. Or, I've never had anyone confront me directly, and my boss has never told me that someone said something. So I think it's going okay. I don't know.
Yep. Well, anyway, that's just been my feedback with that. Obviously you have more experience with it. I'm still learning the ins and outs of dealing with this stuff, and it's been a process. But
that's why I mentioned that I've been wanting to share more stuff in the developers channel. I don't know if people find that annoying. It's pretty quiet in there, but that's one reason why I kind of hesitate to post stuff in there sometimes, because I'm like, okay, this might set someone off. This person probably won't like this idea. I don't want to gaslight them or whatever. So I'm just kind of sorry, Thomas, not in Discord, in the work Slack, trying to share more like goings on in the ecosystem. So yeah, I'm over here talking like, oh, another tool goes to Rust, and I'm sure people are like, what do you mean another one? What other ones are Rust based? You know what I mean? So
subscribe to our show to find out.
Yeah, and I spend way more time outside of work looking and thinking about this stuff, and I'm sure there's plenty of people at MetaLab that don't think about it at all. So I'm trying to just drop something.
It's so funny because my mental shift right now is I'm so hyper focused on this project and the tech in this project that I feel like I put my head down and I put my head back up a month later, and there's a whole bunch of new stuff out there that I just haven't been paying any attention to. And also I find myself not really caring. Like, I know what I'm set out to do for the next 6 months. Maybe then I'll go and look and see what's new and revisit it, but I just can't even find myself having the energy to like bother trying to look at this stuff when I know it's just not going to be applicable to anything that I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that like is that lazy? Like, should I be staying on top of this stuff? I don't know. Like, it's just so much. How do you even, consume it all?
No, seasons. It's got to be seasons, right? Like you consume it when you feel like you have energy to do it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how I treat it. Like I spent a really long time just forcing myself and then realizing like I wasn't actually retaining anything because I was tired. I wasn't interested, right?
Mhm.
And so now that I feel like I'm more rested. So like I said, I took a few weeks off of any side projects and things, and then I felt better. And so now I'm back into it. So yeah. And then like Paul is saying too, like you can follow the trades and research individual stuff when you have the need to it, So I think at the end of the day, like as long as you don't feel like you're being dragged into it, because I think when you feel like that, you're probably just not gonna, retain the information. You're not gonna care about things you see. It's just a different outlook on it. I could be totally off. It could just be me, but
It's actually a great segue because we got like 10 minutes here, maybe. I did actually want to spend some time talking about this cool new tech that I found, and I'm like super hyped about. That's relevant to RHR because I had a need, and I found the solution. I think I found the solution.
was it more cowbell?
It's always more cowbell. You just delete my show notes?
I'm trying to copy.
You put a cedilla in there.
Yeah, I hit Option C instead of Command C. What is this?
What is this? All right. A little bit of context here for how I came to this moment. And we'll get into what the tech is in a moment. So, Remote Ham Radio. We have the way that we deploy applications to across all of our, across the world has basically not changed since day one. At each of these ham radio stations, we've got over 30 different stations now. Each of these, originally it was a Mac Mini, now it's a Raspberry Pi. We actually had like 20 or 30 Mac Minis that we had to sell because the Raspberry Pis ended up being more powerful. So we got these we got these Raspberry Pis everywhere, and the way that we would deploy code to them was with this very sophisticated tool called rsync.
Ooh.
Literally just blast files up to them. Ensure we have SSH access, blast files up, tell it to restart, and it restarts itself. Like very, very, very simple. This is not even no Capistrano, no nothing. It's just rsync. SCP basically, right? If you're familiar with that. And this has evolved over the years because originally when we started, we would have to open up port 22 or some equivalent so we could SSH in and, get access in. Eventually, we added a VPN, so now we don't have to open up ports. We can just get all on VPN. That VPN was originally an open VPN. Now we use WireGuard, which itself is a home-built solution that I wrote. So I actually wrote a Phoenix application to manage our WireGuard keys. So we go into this little Phoenix internal application, add a device, hard code an IP address, send a config to the thing, and it connects up with WireGuard. So WireGuard is really, really awesome. It's way better than OpenVPN, but it's still a pain in the butt to manage. So Raspberry Pi, VPN, syncing files to them. And this is a little fraught because literally the way that I do this is I just have a shell script that just loops through a big SSH config and just blasts files out. If I need to push a new code to production, a new version, I have it just go out individually SSH to every single thing and just push it. And then it just tells me which ones failed and which ones didn't. I don't know which versions are on which thing. I don't know what state they're in because they're just off. And these are just regular Raspberry Pis that we pre-configured from the start. They run RVM, so I can keep track of the Ruby stuff and Ruby gems and stuff. They have NPM on them because we need to run Electron, which is a whole separate thing. They've got a bunch of, packages installed that we need to get all the stuff working. And that all is just configured out of the box. If I need to make a change, I need to go and SSH, again, write a script, SSH into every single one of those and make the change. If I need to upgrade a package, if I need to move a file around, if I need to do something. This is the bad old way of doing it, which has served us amazingly for 7 or 8 years. It's pretty amazing that we've been able to stretch it this far.
It all just sounds stressful to me.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it was fine when we had 3, 4, 5 things, but when you got 30 of these things, it starts to become a problem, right? And the process of provisioning a Pi is, we actually just streamlined. It used to be even worse, where you would literally just copying and pasting shell, commands out of a wiki page, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now it's a setup script. So you get the Pi, you put Ubuntu on it, you run a shell script, you pre-configure the entire thing. You tell it what station it's going to be. You tell it, you put in the WireGuard config so it can connect to the VPN. You have to pre-configure all this stuff. And then that Raspberry Pi from that moment forward is like baked in. It can only be go to exactly one location because it has all the configs in there. Blah, 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 blah. Like, you get it. We're using Unix tools to push these fragile environments out into the world that are a pain in the ass to update. Well, guess what, Sean? This is a solved problem. Who'd thunk it?
That doesn't sound. No, I don't think so.
In comes. Sorry, fat finger, something there. So this week I was working on the provisioning steps. I was like, okay, this has got to be easier. I know we're going to be building a bunch more of these things. How can I write a system to provision them better, right? So we can, ideally I was like, okay, it'd be cool if we could configure the Raspberry Pi with some kind of shared secret, and then a script that like phones home to a Rails application which has an API endpoint and a table of all the things, and when the new MAC address shows up, it does it, and then you can configure it and tell it what station it should be, and it gives it the private IP and the public IP and the VPN IP, so you can SSH in and do all the stuff. And like, in theory, we just build a bunch of these, and we put them in boxes, and as soon as we need to, we just ship them out, and away they go, and then we can configure them all in this custom Rails solution that I built. And I got about halfway through implementing that, and I just took a step back, and I was like, what the hell am I doing?
There has to be a way.
There has to be a better way. And it turns out there is a better way, Sean. It turns out that all of those things I just described are just crappy implementations of Balena. And Balena does all those things and more and does them better. And so last night, I was just like, I think it was Paul who actually turned me on to this because I was not familiar with them. And he's like, have you considered this? And I was like, I finally got a chance to look at it. And boy, it is pretty sweet. It like I said, it just solves all those problems that I just described, where for provisioning, for updating, for checking the health of things, for deploying new code, for, SSHing in. It has its own VPN that you use. It supports like 100 different IoT devices that you can deploy to. And it's all based around Docker. So you build a Docker image with your app, and then it literally just does everything else. It's awesome. Pretty dope. You burn a little SD card with their OS on it. You pop it into the Raspberry Pi, the thing boots up, and it immediately just downloads the latest software and starts running. Like your application.
That's really cool.
Zero config, right? That's the dream.
Yeah, all just kind of like automatic, it sounds like.
Basically, yeah. And you can put them in local mode. So if you want to do development on it, then you don't have to make the round trip to the cloud to build the image every time. You just connect locally over the LAN, and all the tooling works. So you can have this really fast iterative cycles for testing and build these Docker images. And it has this cool thing called Live Push, I think it's called. I don't know if this is a Docker thing or a Balena thing, where, like, if I have a Docker file with like 30 different commands on it, right, and it's a bunch of apt-gets and npm I and whatever, right, installing a bunch of dependencies, it's smart enough to know what you've changed and only do the minimal thing to rebuild the image. So if I have all my dependencies being installed and I change maybe like a run command, it caches everything in half a second. It's rebuilt the whole image with just my changes.
It sounds like something they've done with Docker, because I know like the Docker stuff I've done, that's always been like a sticking point for me was, all right, now it works. What all do I need to cache so this doesn't rebuild every time?
Yeah. So, again, this is literally my second day of playing with it. I have our application running on it. It seems to talk to the native Raspberry Pi hardware okay. Like I plugged in the sound card and it detected the sound card. You know, that was my other big question is now running in this Docker container, like, and we have tons of hardware being plugged into this Pi. What's actually going to show up in the Docker container, right?
Yeah.
USB serial devices, sound cards, network ports, like all this stuff that now I have to think about because we're in Docker. That's been the most work, is been figuring out the Docker shit. The Balena stuff all just works. Now it's just me struggling with Docker.
Yeah. It's it's definitely a lot to take in.
Yeah. So more updates as that warrants, but initial impressions seem like it's totally worth it for the time, effort saved. I can get rid of so many busted ass pieces of our infrastructure that we just kind of cobbled together. And the only real concern is, well, there's two things. It's the failure modes. You know, how flaky is this? What do we do when things go down? You know, what are our, because we've tested our software and hardware extensively over the years. We know exactly how it fails and how to fix it. And this is a whole new thing. So it's like, what, you know, what does it look like when things go wrong? And also there's the parse problem. You know, this is a service. It's completely managed. I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon, but boy, that would suck to rip out all your old crap and then have your, you know, one lifeline to all of your hardware just disappear.
Yeah, I mean, it's same thing I've been thinking about with Firebase. I'm still using that, right? It could go away. I don't think it will. They're still adding to it. In fact, did we talk about? I think we talked about this, like that the fact that Fire Store doesn't have any sort of like plain text searching capabilities, and so you have to use Elasticsearch. And or whatever, you know, some third-party thing. So they just added a one-click install for Algolia, which is, you know, Elasticsearch-like thing, and it automatically keeps your documents in sync. You just tell it which collection you want to sync back to the index, and it just does it for you. I was like, yeah, I don't have to build it at all. It's something I need for a side project. I don't have to build it. I just click a button and it's there. But what if it disappears, right?
Yeah.
Similarly to like Railway, I've been using Railway more recently, and man, it is kind of nice. Like, I bounce between two laptops depending on if Jamie needs to use one. And one thing I always forget about is like copying environment variables over or something like that if I start a project on one computer and then, you know, have to go to another one. And basically Railway gives you a development environment as well. So you just click a plus button to add a production. And then when you add plugins, which is like PG or Redis or whatever, you can just tell it which environment it goes to. It does all that. So you add environment variables to your dev environment. You go to another computer, Railway npm run dev, and then it just works because it's pulling your environments and variables and all that stuff from the other environment or the dev project in the cloud. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah. That experience, the first run experience of getting things working is so valuable. Like if it hooks you, if it's easy, you know, I mean, that was the thing. Yeah. Like I was literally sitting on my couch, I was done with work and I was like, I wonder what this Balena thing is all about. And within, you know, a couple minutes I had an image burned and working that I could connect to and do stuff with. And I was like, oh, okay, this is real.
Are we doing this?
Are we doing this?
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of like that. Same thing. Like, I was, you know, setting up this new app for a staging environment, and I was like, okay, now I got to generate a secret, you know, cookie signing secret, session signing secret. And then I remembered there was a command. You can hit Command K in Railway, and it has all these shortcuts. Command K, generate, and then you hit Enter, and it generates a new secret and puts it in your clipboard. Now, are they keeping track of who generates what secrets? And, you know, that's a, you know, is that a concern? But like, I was like, dang, I didn't have to Google generate another, you know, I didn't have to like do a mix or a Phoenix Gen secret and then pop it into my Node app, right? Because I know Phoenix Gen secret exists.
Just go to your terminal, type UUID.
What?
Hold on. UUID 4? Wait, no, hold on. UUID Gen. UUID gen.
All one word.
Yes.
What?
What?
I didn't know
There
this
you
was a thing. Well,
It's not
screw you,
really-
Railway. I don't need that anyway.
It doesn't have enough bits of entropy for a secret, anyways.
Yeah, Thomas didn't know that either. Thomas was like, "Yo, WTF?" That's cool. Everyone just learned something. Yeah, the first run experience was nice for sure. UUID v6. How do you do that, Shy Ryan?
It's probably a dash. Let's see. Now we're just. I don't know. There's actually no flag for that. Yeah, thank you. Now you're doing what we're all thinking. Oh my God! If you do UID gen -HDR, it prints out a C style. Oh no! It prints out a CF UUID get constant UUID with bytes. It prints out a freaking Objective C macro. Do dash. No, with the space between those. Yeah. No, dash HDR. Yeah.
Oh, an argument.
Argument. Param.
Oh
Prints
my.
out Objective C.
Thomas, are you in Windows?
Anyway. Boy, we got sidetracked.
Yeah. What were you talking? Oh yeah, first run experience on Railway was nice. In fact,
Yeah.
their pricing is updating, I think, again. And so I think mostly I'll just be like paying for usage on it, which is totally fine. It's like the perfect side project for me. It's like I don't necessarily want to manage my own DO instance, but I also don't want to pay $7 per side project for a dyno or a render instance, right? So it's like, pay for usage. Firebase is like that. It's perfect for me. Railway seems to be going that way. Perfect for me. So definitely be using that more, bro. I will definitely be using it more, probably.
The other thing I've been trying to do more recently is treat remote ham radio as a side project. Because if I think about it as having two jobs, I don't want to do two jobs, but I do want to have a job and a side project, right? And if I just twist it in my head a little bit, like I'm working on something that I want to work on as opposed to something I have to work on,
100%.
I find myself, it's just a stupid mind trick, but it totally works, and it gets me to make a little more progress on that, where I normally wouldn't have. Not that I'm trying to work myself to the bone or anything, but if I'm feeling, basically what I'm trying to do is not make myself feel guilty for wanting to work on it. I'm not going to force myself to work on it, but I'm not going to make myself feel bad for spending some time on it because I'm, in a groove or something.
Yeah.
It's a fine line to walk.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
well,
we're over time.
I'm sorry I put us over. I really wanted to talk about that while it's fresh.
No, that's all right. That's pretty cool. I knew the name Belina because I've used Etcher to burn windows onto a USB.
Yeah,
drive.
everyone's used Belina Etcher, and that's what they tell you to use, obviously, for burning their things. And it's a good tool for burning SD cards. And what was I going to say? I just had another thought. I forget. Doesn't matter. Yeah, I lost it. Anyway.
Fleeting thought.
Yeah.
Well, what did we even talk about? Oh, I guess like PRs. I don't know. If you feel like saying something to us, just say something to us. It can be about whatever.
How many lines of code is too much for a PR? And also mention what language, because that matters. Because some languages are longer than others. We're tweeting. You can tweet at us on Twitter.
Thomas just did.
Tweets go. At DNCcast is the show. Sean is Sean Washbot, and I am Shrockwell.
Let's see here. Show notes are up, I believe. So if you're interested in any of the things we talked about today, whether that's Bulina, whether that's, what else we got here? Arsene, Capistrano, Parcel even, you can head over to dnc.show and find them there.
Or you can look at the links in real time, but you have to do it Thursdays between 6 and some indeterminate time. 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern. We're on Twitch, we're on YouTube, we're on Periscope. Twitch.tv/DNCcast. Come on by and hang out. It's a lot of fun. I'm having fun. Are you having fun?
Yeah, I just need to crack my back.
I'm
I
sorry,
need someone
can't-
just to like kick me right in the back.
I can't help you with that. And
Where's-
viewers can't help you with that.
Where's Watson
But you can
at?
come watch at least.
Let's see here. What else we got? We got the Discord. We talked about it a couple of times tonight. Discord community. We got a Discord full of people that have interests, probably similar to the interests that you have as well. If you want to talk to people about the shared interests that you have, we've got a Discord for you. And if you head on over to the show notes, there'll be an invite to the Discord waiting for you.
Just you. Not the guy sitting next to you, but just you.
It's a very personal thing.
Mm-hmm. For premium subscribers only.
Subscribers of the Patreon. Thomas's Patreon.
We're going to kick everyone out who's not subscribed. Sorry, guys. It's been fun. No, we're not going to do that.
Although I hear that pays the bills.
What's that? OnlyFans?
Yeah.
We, no, you know what? Never mind.
Well, I'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Have a good
see ya.
night. I was chatting with someone the other day who was having trying to install a new ceiling fan, and the first one they got didn't work, so they had to get a new one. And it wasn't, he was having this nonstop problems with this fan. So I'm like, I should really go on that forum where people are talking about ceiling fans. I think it's called OnlyFans.
Oh no. Do some merch, Thomas.
No one's gonna buy it, Thomas. Literally not worth it. It's not like some ATP stuff where we can charge $50 for a screen printed 2-sided color T-shirt and get away with it, which they did because I bought one.
Womp womp. This is my favorite guitar pick of this style.
Ooh.
It's just better than like this one.
How
right?
is that? Why? Just because of the colors?
Yeah. And it's better than this one, right? This
No.
one's still the best. Yeah,
no,
this one's still the best.
No. It's not an even distribution of colors.
And then this one's still better than that
That one's not. Disagree.
one. Bread bag clips.
You could-
Yeah, that'll work.
I could 3D print you a guitar pick with the DNC logo on it. Maybe your initials.
Will it be 0.88 millimeters made out of Tortex?
What's the layer size? How low can I go, Paul, in the layer size? Would you say
0.88. It's gone. It's disappeared.
0.88? I think I can do that. I think we can go down to boy, it's been I haven't 3D
The
printed.
third
something
one
in
was your
weeks.
favorite, Paul? This one?
Yeah, see, I agree with Paul.
Well, you can have it.
I can get down to 0.2 millimeter layers, so I could do 4 layers of 0.2 millimeters. So it would be it'd probably snap off in your hands and cut you, but you could do it.
No, I used to use those little jazz picks, and that would cut my fingers. Be playing, it's dark up there. Drag your
I can go down
your
to
finger
0.1.
across.
All right, I can do 0.1. We can make it happen, John.
0.1. That's
Costs
a nice.
more in shipping than it would in plastic.
It's a nice thick pick.
It's a thick boy. I could even just do a variety for you. What did you buy? I can't. This is the problem with this. I can't click on the links. Is this one of these targeted T-shirts where it's like, I was born in September. My wife will kill you.
What?
You know what I'm talking about?
What
You
are
ever
you?
go on targeted shirts on Reddit?
No.
It's great. It's great. Do you ever get those ads on Facebook? Or you probably don't.
I haven't signed into Facebook in
Yeah, I was just gonna say neither.
millennia.
They do this weird thing where they send you these targeted shirts that are unnecessarily offensive and weirdly specific. Thank you, Thomas, with the hookup. Oh my god, I have to log in. Almost not worth it. Almost not worth it to log into.
No, I just read. Never mind.
Nope. I failed to log into 1Password. I failed again. All right, there we go. Now I gotta select the proper Instagram account. Pray that 2-factor isn't enabled. Okay, now I was confused because I clicked Paul's link and it didn't bring me to Paul's link. It just brought me to the top of my feed, which was about Tally Hall. And I was like, Thomas, how do you know about Tally Hall? Thomas doesn't know about Tally Hall, so now I have to go click on this link again.
Pray don't enable it further. Does anyone want to start a band?
The DNC band.
I forgot that this existed.
Can you work late tonight? Is that like a Lumberg shirt? Band lab. I'll play ukulele. And I'll play my pocket operator. That's an instrument, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, the piano got shipped away, Thomas, or got packed away.
The old grand, getting back together with the old grand. I would love to play piano again. I just did not have fun playing it when I was forced to play it in school.
That's how it always goes, though, man.
Well, it was like it sounds like such a sad story, but it's really not. Being in college and then having to like they had these practice rooms in the basement of the PA building, and it was like cold and damp, and all the pianos had sticky keys, and so
no,
I just remember like, being a broke college kid and just sad about like I've got a test coming up and she'll know if I memorize this, and like the piano keys are sticky and it's like cold. So when I think about playing piano, I'm just like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, of course I would pick up the violin. It's been a while, but I totally could.
People always hooked up in the practice rooms. I mean, they're noise proof, right?
No, not the ones that I practiced in. They were just like they were very bad, very drafty. Like hot in the summer, cold in the winter, cinder block construction, loud. No, the practice rooms were not good.
Yeah, it was. I was in Minnesota at that point too, so super cold winters.
I was in the orchestra in college. I was in the very, very, very back of the second violins because that's where I belonged. It was fine because I never practiced.
That's where I belonged. I've been playing a lot more recently, and I find that like I usually keep the armrest on my chair down. I don't know why I do this, but I do. And so I'll sit here with the guitar in my lap, and as I'm thinking, I'll just be noodling around, and it's kind of nice because it like keeps me focused, I guess. I don't know.
There's a guy on our team who on our 14-person Google Meet calls is just standing around just swinging a sword. Like he's literally he just picks a katana off his wall and just walking around his room just friggin' swinging it around like an action movie.
That's so. Why?
Beats me.
I'm not here to judge.
I'm just amused by it. No, I'm not. I
but
think
also,
it's
why?
It's
like
walk-on.
You were a walk-on to the orchestra?
Orchestra. No, that's not true. I had to audition every year.
Walking onto the risers.
Ask me about my swords. Oh. Did I mention that? Wait, hold on. Because that's the thing he actually says. And now I
Yeah,
need to
you
know if
mentioned it.
I did mention it? Okay, I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if it was just something I missed.
Yeah, you did mention that.
I forgot. Yeah. Ask me about my sword. I still have yet to ask him. I don't need to. I know everything I need to know now.
What's that guy's name? Mercado? The guy, the sword guy from
Oh yeah,
the
Rick
Blacksmith Show. No,
Rick,
the
no.
Bladesmith Show. Doug Mercado,
Doug Mercado.
something like that. Anyway,
Will it kill?
he pops up on TikTok sometimes, and it's always blade related. Always.
This dude is awesome. You know the whole origin of the will it kill thing?
No.
So you know how he says it funny, right? He doesn't say kill, he says keel, right?
Yeah, like a sailboat.
Right. Well, it's actually spelled Keal. Is what he's saying. Will it keel? Because, and this is the way I understand it. Someone please correct me if I'm wrong. He has like young children. He didn't want to, like portray this like the violence of blade making, having blades, right? So he kind of twisted it from kill to keel, which is the acronym keep us all living or something. Where it's like, will it protect us, not, using it as an offensive thing, but more of a defensive thing. So he's actually saying keel. It's his kind of brand. Keal. And now you know. Someone please fact check me on that, but that's the way I understood it.
That's fine.
Okay. Well, the cam link in the camera did not crap out. Ooh, it is warm though. I was kind of worried about the overheating of this. Someone said that might be a concern. But
I never checked mine before now. It's a little warm.
Seems to be okay. So I was telling Sean before we got on the air. So I'm using my new mirrorless Fuji camera here for the webcam. I got the Elgato Cam Link. Thank you, Paul, and everyone who recommended that when I asked, because I just worked. I think it's fine. But this camera has an issue where the USB-C power cord and the micro HDMI port are almost on top of each other. Like they're they're right next to each other, and that left no room to plug both cables in because there's too much crap around the cables, the rubber. So I just realized this right before we went on the stream. So I took the micro HDMI cable, which was the worst offender. It had a lot of rubber surrounding it, and I just took some sandpaper too, just shaved down one of the sides so that the cables could fit together. You know what? It works fine, Sean. It's just like our sync. It just keeps working. Works fine.
I was trying to think up of an acronym so I could say will it keel. I couldn't think of one.
Oh, I have an actual like tech question that people here might be able to answer because I'm too lazy to Google it. How secure are Docker images? And by secure, I mean if I deploy code remotely to this physical box that's sitting somewhere that someone has physical access to, can they just pop that SD card out and steal my code?
Right, because you were like obfuscating stuff, right, with that Ruby library?
Yeah, so previously I was using Ruby Encoder. And Ruby Encoder has a cool feature where this is part of the reason I had to do it manually, was that when Ruby Encoder will crapify your Ruby and encrypt it, but you can tie it to a specific MAC address, so it'll only run on the device on a computer with the MAC address that you specify, which of course can be fake. You can fake MAC addresses. It's not really secure, but at least they can't look at your code. So my question is, and I'm not doing that now because I have to build this one image, so I can't tie it to a particular MAC address, obviously, right? It's not going to work. So because I have to build a generic image. And yeah, I don't know how safe that's going to be. Obviously, we're the only ones with SSH access into these machines, but I worry about the physical piece. I could, I guess, still use Ruby encoder to crapify it before I build the image. I just couldn't. I mean, you could just take the files and copy them off and run them somewhere else. But you couldn't make changes to it, I guess. What is Shyran? Shyran said yes. I don't remember what I asked.
Could someone go like physically and get?
Yeah. So the answer is yes. Someone could probably take it. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So
That has to be a solved problem, though, right? Like I'm sure there's something.
It's gotta be. I mean, normally in your data centers, you don't care because there's physical protections there.
I mean, Mission Impossible.
I mean, that's certainly something that could happen.
Are you being facetious?
Only a little. No, I mean, you're right, though. Like, that trumps everything, right? So my two thoughts were doing some weird Linux encrypted image thing where the thing, mounts at boot, right? And you have encrypting a whole mount. But that looks like it's probably less and less possible if I'm doing some Docker thing that's already pre-done for me. Versus maybe I just do Ruby encoder and just call it a day. I don't know. I gotta figure this out because that's not gonna be good. But yeah, it's gotta be a solved problem. Especially for Balena, like I'm sure they have thought of this because I'm sure it's a common thing. Crypto chip. That would be cool. I don't know if the Pi has anything like that. Like a T2. Yeah, this is... Nerves has it. Nerves key. Configured chip that's used for authenticating devices. Nerves has... Ah, this is neat. This is wild.
Share your browser.
Oh, I'm just looking at a... Yeah, I guess I can do that. I'm just looking at this readme thing. Yoink. Nerves key. It's a simple hardware security module that protects one private key by requiring all operations on that key to occur inside chip. Thomas, you're really just trying me to get me to review that PR. I think the hardware for it has just been sitting on a shelf over there. This is all completely over my head. 0.5? Forget it. Not worth it. I squared C. All right, I understand I squared C. Oh my god, it actually returns a legit OTP certificate record object. I've had a bad time with these, let me tell you. Erlang's friggin' SSL libraries are a nightmare to deal with. I mean, they work,
had to,
which is cool. You get it out of the box, but it's the data format is a pain in the butt to deal with.
I've never really dealt with it. I've had to fix something because it was broken and I couldn't upgrade a version or something like that.
Oh, okay. No, I've had to actually load certificates and sign stuff with keys in Elixir.
Yeah, I've not had to do that.
And you end up with these. So before Erlang had maps, they had records. And records are basically like, they're kind of like tag tuples with some sort of convenience functions for working with them, but they're a pain in the ass to deal with. Elixir used to have good support for them, and then they just basically ripped it all out, and it's just like you're kind of on your own. You can def record, but it gives you a couple of things, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this is completely overkill for what I'm trying to do. Like, this is all very cool if I was doing a real honest to God thing. I don't care this much about this, but it's fascinating to know that this exists. And something, as I think esoteric as NERS has real hardware support like this. I've got to say, I'm a little disappointed that no one's asked me about the on my calls. They asked me about the METAR map behind me, because I wanted to just like blow their minds. Like, oh yeah, it's just running Phoenix.
No one's noticed it.
No. Waiting for that moment. Ask me about my. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I set you guys up for that. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny because like we had this initial bunch of meetings where we were all meeting everyone and getting to know each other, and then they just immediately stopped and then just like heads down doing work. And it's just weird because I feel like I don't have a chance to socialize with anyone on my team anymore besides just in work-related context, and that's not really fun. Because there's no downtime to even do that or anything.
Right.
And I'm not in all the cool Slack channels. So I'm just a poor contractor. Oh well.
Boop, 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 boop. What is happening? Dogs are getting snippy out there.
Are they?
Everyone here is a winner.
That's true.
That's right.
Your winner's just for showing up.
The Discord is full of winners.
Blue ribbon.
Boop, boop, boop.
Should've done that.
Well, I should probably get going here.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I will ban them. That's right. I forgot you were a mod.
Strike swiftly from an undisclosed location.
Thomas will kill.
He will kill. We blew through like the whatever one season of that show on Netflix. And then we're like, we're kind of done. Like, it's good. I learned a lot. But like, there's only so much of that we could watch. It's like the time we went over my in-laws and just sat down on the couch and someone put on Wicked Tuna marathon, and we just watched Wicked Tuna for like 6 hours, and it was amazing.
Correct the what?
Wicked Tuna. Oh, they're doing a Blue Blade movie. So okay, so this is weird because we I feel like I'm going crazy, but I've seen the Blade movie recommended to me in so many different contexts over the past couple weeks. Like, it just keeps showing up. The original one, obviously. And I didn't know there was a new one coming out. That does explain why I keep seeing it pop up, right? Because like Netflix and Amazon and stuff are like recommending it, and then. But what was weird was we were watching. We just watched this movie. It was a Netflix movie. It was the Bronx versus Vampires or something. And in that movie, they watched the movie Blade to learn about how to kill vampires. And I was like this. The world just keeps wanting us to watch Blade, and we just don't want to watch Blade. Like, it's not going to happen. Stop trying to make Blade happen. Who's in the new Blade movie? And yes, I will definitely ask Thomas to answer your question. I will find out.
Boop, 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 boop.
You got to stop moving the mic while you're talking. I don't care if you move it, but like you keep moving while you're talking, I can hear the squeakies in the recording, which is gonna be
come
fun.
fix it.
Yeah, you just talk less. Mm-hmm. Like that. That's good.
I'm waiting for Homebrew to do his thing.
Do you ever use the Homebrew, their bundler package management thing, or just like it solves a bunch of your stuff?
Cask?
No, it's something else.
No.
WD-40 is not a lubricant, Paul. It's water. It's a water displacement. Don't use it to lubricate things. That's what the internet will tell you in that voice.
It'll just pop around the corner. Hey, see you're about to do this. And,
actually. All right, I gotta look this up now. Homebrew. See you, Sultan. Thanks for coming by.
See you, man. Well, it doesn't last that long, Paul, because it's not a lubricant. Did I do that right?
Perfect. It's perfect. All I'm getting is homebrewing beer. Hold on. Oh, it's literally called Homebrew Bundle. I didn't make that up.
Oh, I know it. Yeah, no, I don't use that. I use Docker instead.
Okay. It's a solvent. It's for cleaning.
I use Simple Green for cleaning everything.
Stuff smells like black licorice to me. Do you
Smells
get that?
nice. Nope.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
It smells like pine saw.
No, it does not at all. And pine smell also smells terrible, Sean. Pine smell does not smell like pine trees. It's like these Apple Jacks don't taste like apples. Pine Sol does not smell like pine.
I do like Apple Jacks though.
Well, this is we're getting to the root of it here.
What's wrong with Apple Jacks?
They don't taste like apple. I've never used Brew Bundle either. I was just curious if people had.
I used it for a brief stint for DK. But
It's funny. I didn't even realize. I heard about an ATP, and I actually earned the first link is freaking Casey Liss. I did not realize that. Well, he's actually been pretty active on this blog. Oh no. Whale brew? I'm pretty sure that's illegal now. I think it's outlawed. You know it's cool because it's got some sweet ASCII art. All right, Whale Brew creates aliases for Docker images so that you can run them as if they were native commands. It's like Homebrew, but with Docker images. Docker works well for blah, 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 yeah. Okay, so Whalebrew install, whale say.
Dear God, no.
All right, whatever. Pull complete, blah, blah, blah. Look, it's got this cute little, look at it, Sean. Sean, look at it. Are you looking?
Mm-hmm.
It says cool. So if you run a CLI tool, does that mean it boots up the Docker image every time you do it? Or is the Docker image always running and then for this one CLI command? It sounds terrible either way. Whalebrew list, upgrade. Like if I install something with Whalebrew, all right, here we go, how it works. Packages are installed, blah, blah, blah. When a package is executed, Whalebrew will run the specified image with Docker, mount the current working directory, and pass through all of the arguments, Sean. Every time you run a CLI command, it's mounting a whole Docker image.
Just the runtime. You got to boot the runtime up, right?
If you have a long-running, very specialized thing that you don't use that often, maybe? Like, I don't know, man. You're still running your native architecture, so it's not like you can virtualize it, you know? Like, for example, if you wanted to run, I don't know, FFmpeg on an M1 Mac, like, I don't know. You could probably do that already, but this is terrible. Have a Docker container for creating UUIDs. Let's see. It might be here. Let's see. Whalebrew. Is there a way to list the Whalebrew packages? Where even does this place exist? Is there a domain? Nope. There's no even domain for this project. Yeah, no one should know this much about Whalebrew. All right, I'm poisoning all our minds with this. Close.
I'm just working on just doing some stuff over
You
here.
doing work?
Not work.
Sounds like work.
I've been having a hell of a time lately with global NPM packages. Don't know what it is.
What about them?
Just, I don't know, being sticky. I don't know. I just today I ditched ASDF for Volta, and that got me going because I was having an issue earlier and I don't know why. But yeah, it's
Just use
not
Docker,
deterministic. It's just I mean, I probably should make it easier. Just for an experiment, Shy Ryan, and then it worked, and then I just didn't switch back.
So it goes.
Global NPM
I wouldn't.
packages.
Yeah, because Node does have its own. I mean, there's NVM and.
Yeah, screw it. This should be a dev dependency of this project. It shouldn't be a global.
Good talk. All right, I'm gonna let you go, dude. It's getting late here.
Okay.
Thanks for coming by, everyone. As always, this is fun. Ship another show out.
Shipping a show.
Shipping a show.
Yeah. All right. See you, everybody.
Have a good night. Merci beaucoup. Au revoir.
Oh, we just got international.